Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it's Monday here on the show, and you know what that means? We actually got a lot to talk about here today. Filthy Tom Lawler is going to be joining us for the show. And because of the 4th of July holiday, everything's a little different this week. Tom is going to join us Monday and Wednesday. Lance will join us Tuesday and Thursday. No show on Friday here on Sports Byline. But today, we have this past weekend to talk about. And there was plenty, including the WWE Night of Champions pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. A lot to talk about from that show. We have a new King of the Ring. We have a new Queen of the Ring. We have the finish of John Cena and CM Punk to lead to the main event of SummerSlam, and plenty more. That leads to Monday Night Raw tonight, and tonight's Raw does air at 6 Eastern. 6 Eastern tonight. So if you're here on the West Coast, 3 Pacific. So that's Raw on Netflix. We'll review that tonight with Dave tomorrow here on the show as well. Got NXT tomorrow, Dynamite 300. Coming up on Wednesday. And then a lot of news. We have an update on Ben Askren, who is, he was in really, really, really bad shape, but he did just get a double lung transplant, which is good news. So we'll tell you about that. Got an update on the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It has changed hands. Who, what, when, where, why? We'll tell you all of that. Plus, Ric Flair going in for surgery. More on the WWE Unreal docuseries, which I actually cannot wait to watch this thing. And Survivor Series coming up. Plenty more. So a lot to get into, and we shall kick it off after the break. You're on Wrestling Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful.
It's Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V, and we hope that you enjoy the show.
Should I do one more time? Huh? I played the entire song before realizing I had not hit record.
I figured as much.
So I had to start the entire show over again. Uh-oh. Is my internet down? My internet died. Yeah. All right. Stand by, everybody. Hi, everybody. We're back. And we're just gonna barrel on through, right, Vinny? What do we have on that Facebook thing? Now it says no audio. Jared, do we have audio?
I can hear you.
Honestly, what is going on?
Yeah, we just watched a movie about this.
What is up with my internet? Lost everybody again. Curry says no problems with the Big Vinny V show.
His words.
Not since the first one.
I was going to say, the very first one was a
many
disaster.
problems. Many problems.
We've had quite a few.
Yeah, and you know what I do? I just barrel on through.
Bryan.
Barrel on through should be the name of this show. What the hell's going on this week? Like, every single show, something goes terribly wrong. Today, I didn't have the music set to go at first. Then I got it set to go, but I forgot to hit record. Finally, I hit record and got the song going right. Golly. One disaster after another here. We're starting 15 minutes late. I still can't find the video, Jared. Is it up? Where is everything? Granny's joining us here today via phone. We cannot connect her audio or video. It's a blank screen. I don't know what's going on. What are we doing? Should we just quit today? I don't know what the problem is, Granny. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what's going on. We still have no video. I got a question. Where's the goddamn video at?
You gotta fire Jared.
All right, now it's up. Hello, everybody.
This is the one you told me to do last week, Undertaker plus Psycho Kid.
Okay.
Are you done laughing?
Yeah, we're done.
Yes, Granny, I apologize.
There'll be more.
Then Psycho Sid comes out with blonde curly hair. Hard to pull. Lasts a while before he gets out of it. I had to give that a 10.
A 10.
Oh, wow.
Undertaker won a match and a belt. That's a 10 on the Granny scale.
Vic Victor is still at it more than ever this week, as far as the soaps go.
Hell of a report, Granny.
All right.
That was a 10 on the Granny Soap Opera Report scale.
Okay, just a minute.
Jared, you're forgiven. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. You know, there's a lot going on. And sometimes, you know, as a seasoned professional of this game, yeah, I make a plan. But, like, it's just a plan. It never goes the way it's supposed to. And you just roll, you just flow with the go, as Hickson Gracie said. You flow with the go. It looks like all anybody wants to talk about is Goto and Zack Sabre Jr. So, we're going to start with that in a moment. I do want to kick off by saying that we got some positive news regarding Ben Askren. His wife, Amy, announced that he had received a double lung transplant. Asked everyone to pray that these new lungs take to Ben's body as if they were his own. He has been hospitalized for weeks, severe pneumonia, following a staph infection. He was added to the lung transplant list. Had been showing some signs of improvement, more moments of awareness. Not able to look at his phone yet and respond to messages that people have sent him, but all of his other organs are doing okay. So all the best to Ben Askren. It was looking, I mean, it's still bad. It's obviously very bad. But the fact that he got his double lung transplant is certainly a positive thing in all of this. So best wishes to him and his family, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best, I've said it before on the show, one of the best American folk-style wrestlers of all time. Revolutionized the amateur wrestling game. There's a whole style of wrestling named after this man, the Funky Ben. So big best wishes up to him. Glad to hear that he got these lung transplants. Obviously, it's awful that he needs them in the first place, but it's also, you know, I got to say, it's great to see everybody really rallying around Ben Askren in this time. And, you know, there hasn't been one bad story you've heard about the guy. Even Jake Paul this weekend was saying, hey, look, I'm going to have to do something if this doesn't get handled. So, you know, best wishes to Ben Askren and his family.
You know, Tom, the other night on Observer Radio, before the show, we go over a list of topics that Dave wants to talk about. And he mentioned you. So I wrote your name down as a list of, ask Dave about Tom Lawler. It's one of the topics that he wants to discuss. So, of course, we do the show, and we get to that point, and I said, Tom Lawler, Dave. You know what he says to me? He goes, you tell me.
I heard it.
Well, you're here now, Tom, so why don't you tell us what's going on with you?
Well, it's also interesting because I told Dave exactly
I know.
what the deal was, and he wrote it in the Observer and then came up blank once it was time to actually go live. But a few weeks ago, obviously, if you've been listening to the show, you know something's up. A few weeks ago, I had some tests done, some scans done, and obviously I have not been in the ring for 6 weeks now since I saw you, actually, Brian.
Yeah.
You helped convince me. You were like, buddy, this is over. You can't keep doing this right now. So I had some scans done, and unfortunately, it sounds as if I'm heading towards what I've been told I need to have done is have a hip replacement on my left hip and some sort of spinal surgery. The L5-S1 vertebrae in my back, down at the bottom. I have herniated the disc. There's no disc there anymore. And the spinal column, that portion, is out of place and is pinching a nerve in my back. And that is why I've lost a lot of feeling in my left leg. some size, the legs atrophied, and really I have a hard time walking. Now I have been, obviously these things don't happen very quickly. I don't know how long I'm going to be on the shelf. I don't know if I'll ever wrestle again, It really depends on what the neurosurgeon says, and I'm going to get a few different looks,
opinions
from doctors, opinions. I've gotten about 50 different opinions already from multiple people, but I've also been told that I could be a candidate for disc replacement, which is kind of a newer surgery. But that's the update. So physically I'm doing awful, but mentally, emotionally I'm fine.
Physically, I'm doing awful. Was it something where, because I mean, we had that match a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was it.
That was like 2 years ago.
That was the one that did
would
it.
You stop?
Where I had to catch
but
you
the point
doing
is,
the swanton.
You were moving all right, and then I saw you here and there. Like, I do remember in that Suzuki, when you wrestled Suzuki at Defy, it was like, I don't know, man. You and Suzuki were kind of moving sort of similar, but it wasn't that bad. It was just like, this guy's taking a beating. And then, when I saw you, the most recent times, it was like, dude, this guy is like, something's really bad here. Was it one bump? Was it an accumulation? Is there anything you can point to?
I think the hip, is, just due to wear and tear. You've got to think I've been going at this. I've been training and wrestling and doing this stuff pretty much nonstop for 28 years. The last 28 years of my life. I started amateur wrestling when I was 14, and I have only been down because of injury a few times during those 28 years. So I'm not surprised that there's been a ton of damage, and I think the hip is kind of wear and tear, but to me it sounds as if what the doctors think is that the back injury, something exacerbated that, something caused that.
Yes.
Because every time I go, somebody's like, what did you do to your back? What did you do to your back?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't really know, to be fair. So,
I mean, I didn't think that it was as bad as it ended up being, but like, I hurt my back a long time ago, and I had a bad back for a long time, and like every now and then something would go really wrong, you know what I'm saying? And when it went really wrong, I walked not as bad as you, as it turns out, but like,
Jesus, don't get me started on this. You
Dude,
walked?
I had that same weird, like, you know what it reminded me of? I always notice it on the Great Khali. You ever seen the Great Khali? He has no bend in his lower back. He has no curve whatsoever. His back is like a completely straight line, like from his shoulders all the way down to his buttocks, Dom, all the way down. It's like a completely straight line. And I have a curve in my back, but like when something would go wrong, like my pelvis would be out of alignment, like it was just a straight line. Like I couldn't get a curve in my back, and I had one hip higher than the other, and I couldn't stand like on 2 feet. I had to stand like offset to be comfortable. I mean, it was bad. And you were walking around like that, but worse. And I mean, it was like, dude, something's wrong here, dude. Something's way out. And looks like it's way out with you. But hopefully they can put you back straight again.
I will say I did get some great advice this past
would you
weekend
shut up? You two.
From a friend.
Dude, I wish we weren't on the radio right now. I got a lot of F-bombs I could drop right now.
I had nothing to do with it.
You want me to tell the story?
Yeah, please.
Dude.
I only received the video.
Oh, my
friend.
God. I'll tell this story, everybody. Actually, hold on. We're going to do this after the break because I need more than at least a minute to tell this story.
You need 9.
But, God, this story here. And then I promise we'll talk about Zack Sabre Jr. But Ric Flair going in for surgery. He's got surgery coming up, he says. Keep me in your prayers. It's all fragile. Showed a close-up of his forehead. And another showing a large surgical incision on his abdomen. And, I'll say this. Everyone's talking about, Flair had skin cancer and everything like that. I won't mention any names, okay, because I don't want to. But I have a family member who had a thing on the head, and, they put a bandage over it, and it, wasn't healing, and I encouraged this family member to go to the doctor to get it checked out, and the family member didn't want to, and they waited and waited, And they finally went in, and you know what this doctor said? They said, you ever heard of Neosporin? That's what the doctor said. So they put Neosporin on it, and they kept the bandage on, and, just like totally blew it off. The doctor blew it off. Well, they went in for another thing. 8 years later, skin cancer. Growing for 8 years on the head.
Wow.
Okay? Well, anyway, last week, went in, whoosh, gone. Totally fine. No big deal. So I'm not saying that you should not worry about skin cancer, but that's what happened. Back in a moment. Observer Live. Check out this free video and make sure you hit like and subscribe.
If Truth didn't have the best weekend in this company, then Mr. Iguana did.
Oh, yeah, this guy is over, dude.
We'll get to him in the Worlds Collide review, but
He's got merch up on WWE shop.
he's going to make so much
He's got these
money.
kids that want to see more Mr. Iguana.
Yeah. So
His face paint is so funny.
I must stop you right here. It's not face
Oh,
paint.
would you stop?
It's head paint.
Yeah, it looks.
He paints his whole damn head.
It looks like he's he gets held upside down and they just dunk
Dip
his
it,
head
yes.
in green paint.
Yes.
It's absolutely bizarre.
And when he's not wrestling, he wears the round silver spectacles,
Yes,
and
he's got a
he
he's got
flicks
a
his
puppet.
tongue constantly,
Yes.
as an iguana would, and Del Toro and Octagon do whatever, and people are patient, but they don't care. And then Iguana tags in, and they are hyped. It took about 7 seconds to make himself my favorite luchador. He starts, I forget who he's in there with, but the guy offers a handshake, and so he licks it because he's an iguana, and then he gets hit with a shoulder tackle, or it's a chop. He takes a chop, he drops to his back, he sticks all four limbs straight in the air.
Yes.
He's playing dead like an iguana would. So then he brings in the puppet. I didn't get the puppet's name. I should have used it 50 times. But it's an iguana puppet that he thinks is real. Well,
already
sometimes.
Already up on WWE shop.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You know if Harley Cameron's doll is on the AEW?
I do not know.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
So he starts doing spots with the puppet in his mouth. He lets the puppet try to get the pin. And amidst all the silliness, Conan says, you know this, Mr. Iguana, he's most popular with children.
I liked how as soon as the puppet started doing spots, Corey Graves goes, is that legal in Mexico? And without skipping a beat, Conan goes, yes.
Low on the list of things you will see in a Lucha Libre match, especially in AAA. So he starts using the puppet more as a weapon, or as a distraction, I should say. But it ends up with Lince Dorado getting a hold of this puppet, and he snaps, and he stomps the puppet, and he grabs the puppet, and he Spanish flies the puppet. This crowd is outraged. They're pissed. They're furious. But you know he's even more pissed and furious?
It got more heat than anything else. Maybe on the entire show,
Mr.
actually.
Goddamn Iguana.
They were
who's
furious.
seething and his eyes are breaking out, and he snaps and just rips ass. He grabs his own lizard and is whipping these guys with it. And then they remember it's just a puppet and they stop selling.
This was a very, very fun match. I liked it a lot. And there's a lot to learn here about marketing.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I'm not downplaying cancer. What I'm talking about is melanoma, skin cancer. A family member of mine had it for 8 years, okay? And with melanoma, stage 0 melanoma, there's a 99% recovery rate. 99%. All the way up to stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 2 is 97% recovery rate. So, if you get skin cancer and you get in there and you get it taken care of fairly quickly, it's a pretty simple thing. Now, if you got stage 4 and it's spread to different organ, that's a totally different story. But your basic skin cancer that is caught fairly early, it's 99%. I mean, they cut it out and that's that. So, take care of yourself, everybody. Let's not be crazy here, but that's that. Talking about that from personal experience. Now, I got a cameo request the other day, Tom.
Don't look at me, buddy.
I am looking at you. I got a cameo request the other day. I mean, everybody already knows where this is going. We've pretty much spoiled it. But what happened was, I'm going to find it here. Okay. All right. It was sent to me with the request for health and fitness tips. It was from Chase. It says, "Hi, Bryan. I am buying this cameo for my friend Thomas. He's a huge fan of yours and recently suffered an injury that will have him laid up for a while. Please send him words of encouragement, as his goal is to find a new fitness journey while recovering." I read it. I thought, man, sucks for Thomas. They didn't give me any other information. What's the injury? What happened? What is this Thomas fella able to do, not able to do? So I gave it my all, even though it's a $10 cameo. I went on for 9 minutes. 9 straight minutes as Cameo is alerting me that I'm drastically running out of time. They have a limit now. It used to be able to just go on forever, but now it's like 10-minute limit. And I'm going on, and I got a lot of great suggestions. You walk a little and...
Get up and walk.
Yeah, get up and walk. And
My suggestion for Thomas, get up and walk.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. Just walk. Just walk. Just walk. That's all you got to do. Just,
Yeah,
Thomas, just walk.
Yeah, walk and then start a little weight bearing, I think I suggested after a while. But, walk first and then, try and cut out some of the... Anyway, it was nice. I thought it was a nice cameo. And then about, a few hours later, you texted me with a screenshot of the cameo as I'm noting that I've ranted for 9 minutes so far. And you said, "You're an idiot." I was like, yeah, I did. Hey, what did I respond? I said, "Give the people their money's worth, Tom."
I did not call you an idiot.
I think you did. I actually have it right here. I'm pretty sure that you called me an idiot. Let's see where it was here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You didn't call me an idiot. You said, "You bonehead." And I responded, "Give them their money's worth." Well, a few minutes later, you sent me another text. It was for me, you said, from Chase, the promoter at Relentless. You spent 9 minutes telling me to get up and walk. I nearly died.
You got hosed.
I nearly died. That guy, hey, you know what? That guy's got my Venmo. I'm going to be expecting something after this one. And he didn't... Listen, here's the other problem, Tom. My advice was great. He said you were recovering. You're not recovering. You haven't had any surgery done or anything. Like, you gotta get everything, and then you'll be on the road to recovery. God.
I have many addictions I'm recovering from.
Golly. So yeah, I gave you a 9-minute cameo on health and fitness.
Thank you.
God. $1.11 a minute, this person said. Yep, that's what I made. $1.11 a minute. That's fine. That's a good amount of money.
You know who may need some health and fitness advice as well, Bryan?
Who's that?
Could be the former IWGP heavyweight champion, Heroki Goto.
Okay, yeah, we got to talk about it.
Apparently has an injured elbow.
All right, here's the thing.
Suffered at the hands of the new champion, Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Sabre Jr. beat Goto for the title. On Sunday, New Japan presented Tanahashi Jam, a live event from Nagoya, broadcast on Japanese television. The show didn't stream on New Japan World, was not available outside of Japan. It was presented as a special event produced by Tanahashi, who also wrestled twice on the card. Semi-main event, Zack beat Goto. And I'm going to be reviewing this with Dave tonight. Somehow we got a link to it. But 138-day reign ended at the hands of Zack Sabre Jr. He is now a 2-time champion. And now, everybody's talking about this, that, and the other. Well, this is what I can tell you. First off, the reason it was not on New Japan World was because they wanted everybody to watch it on national television. This is a New Japan show on broadcast television, guys. Okay, this is like this would be the equivalent of not even TNA, MLW maybe. You know, MLW's got some TV, but if MLW had the opportunity to air a full show on NBC nationwide, they're not putting it on their YouTube channel at the same time, okay? This is a huge deal for New Japan to get nationwide, like national television for this show.
Yeah, you could actually tune into MLW on YouTube and listen to me on commentary.
Yes.
From this past Thursday, Summer of the Beast.
Now, it's not like Saturday night's main event because WWE already has nationwide cable television in millions and millions of homes.
New Japan is on TV like in the middle of the night.
Yes, they do not have a strong television presence. So you have to make a comparison to another promotion that does not have a strong television presence that is now getting national broadcast television. So it's a big deal. So that's why it wasn't on New Japan World. Now, I was told that this thing with Goto, it was always going to be like this. Zach was always going to get the title back before the G1. What show that was not set in stone. But the G1 is starting, in just a matter of weeks now, and so this was the show that they decided to do it on. So it wasn't some injury. Apparently, on the internet, some people are saying it's all because of it. It has nothing to do with AEW. It has nothing to do with Goto getting hurt. Goto was always a short-term, feel-good story, and it was going to be going back to Zach before the G1. So that's what happened, and he's the champion again. And the two Tanahashi matches were Taguchi, Shota Umino, and Tanahashi beating Leona, Hiromu, and Tatsumi Fujinami. Tatsumi
Dragon.
Fujinami, yes. And then he was also in the main event. Him and Marufuji beat Kaito Kiyomiya and Ryohei Oiwa. So that's the top matches there. El Phantasmo is working. He had an injury, but he's back working. He beat Taiji Shimori to retain the New Japan TV title. And Bolton Oleg also beat Yuji Nagata to retain the Never Openweight title. So they are saying that Goto is out of action with an elbow injury, and we'll see when he comes back. But that was that. I'm glad he got his run, and it worked.
Yeah.
It was a successful title run for Goto. He was over. People liked him. The matches were good. Worked out. So, and he got his what do they call it? You know what I mean? Okay.
Severance pay.
His flowers. He got his flowers.
I wonder now, does the G in G1 stand for Goto?
Could. But we don't know. We got to review this Unreal docuseries, Tom. You ready for the episodes? 5 episodes premiering July 29th.
Lay it on me.
Episode 1 focuses on the Raw debut. It will look at the main event between Punk and Seth, and also feature Cody and Rhea. Episode 2, the Men's Royal Rumble, and the feud with Cody and Kevin, leading to their ladder match, as well as Jey Uso's Royal Rumble win. This is a show, by the way. This is the one where Triple H says they pull back the curtain. They're going to talk booking and storytelling and behind the scenes and breaking kayfabe. Episode 3 will feature female talent, Chelsea Green's U.S. title win in December, Charlotte's return, the Women's Rumble and Chamber matches, and a segment dedicated to Bianca Belair. Episode 4, John Cena's heel turn, the Men's Elimination Chamber, and the New Day heel turn. Dwayne and Brian Gewirtz are in that episode, and Nick Khan will speak, it says here. And episode 5 is WrestleMania 41 with Gunther and Jay, Punk and Seth, and Roman, Io and Rhea, and the whole shebang. The episode will look at Triple H and WWE's creative process for the Raw after WrestleMania. So, dude, there was so much that happened. Do you think we're actually going to get the legitimate behind the scenes, all of the actual scoops from everything?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Because I got to admit, I'm a little skeptical. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my excitement is a bit tepid.
Good word. Good word. We're going to have the good word on what is it? Night of Champions after the break? Did you watch Night of Champions?
I did.
All right, well, we'll talk about it after the break. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful.
I am going to channel the well-known, infamous roast of Bryan and Lance.
Oh, my God.
I vaguely remember this.
Lance was a champion in virtually every company he has appeared in. While he did hold the distinction of holding 3 titles, that angle fizzled out faster than his podcast, Killing the Town.
Wow. I now remember this utter disaster of a roast.
Let's get Lance a chair to sit in. And as we do, could we also bring someone up here to show him how to use it? I remember that chair shot. I don't remember who it was on, but
utter
I remember
silence that this roast was met with.
Tom, at least I was smart enough not to do those chair shots again.
Bryan, besides me, there are others who I'm sure dislike you, like Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, but I think you're great, like a guiding light or a father, which is why I'm not surprised when you screw me every week. The best-selling author of The Death of WCW. He had just completed his new book, for which actually Lance Storm wrote the foreword, which is 3 more than most wrestling fans know.
Hideous. Atrocious.
It must be hard when you look so young. If I didn't know better, I'd say you had your grandma's jeans. But actually, if the camera panned down, I bet Lance is wearing them. Anyways, let's start the show. Carmelo went for the La Mystica. Andrade went for the Message.
It's actually not the La Mystica. It starts like a La Mystica, but the La Mystica is actually a submission, and he doesn't land in the submission. He just does the whole slam part and then jumps up.
Yeah, the La Mystica is a tilt-a-whirl head scissor into a Fujiwara armbar.
Into a Fujiwara armbar. The La Mystica is not the submission. Do not tell me.
I didn't say that was a submission. I said the La Mystica involves the tilt-a-whirl facebuster into the submission. The whole thing. Why are you so angry?
Well, you just changed what you said live, right?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't land in a submission. He just slams them. So it's not a La Mystica.
I believe that's the actual move.
Okay,
but
whatever. Who cares?
I just hope Editor Sean pulls up the exact clip of you saying La Mystica's a submission and then denying it afterwards.
La Mystica is actually a submission. I didn't say that was a submission.
La Mystic is actually a submission? I didn't say that was a submission.
Editor Sean.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Tom Lawler is joining us here today.
Hey, heard you went and saw George Norrie this weekend.
A fine job, Tom. So this Wednesday on After Dark, I don't think we have a guest this Wednesday. I kind of hope not, because I will tell you about my trip to the Everett Historic Theater to see George Norrie. George Norrie is the host of Coast to Coast AM. He's the man who took over for Art Bell.
Oh, when did Space Ghost host that show?
And he went to the Everett Historic Theater and did a live show. I am so happy I went. I am so happy I went. It was just, you know what it was? astonishing. I was astonished during that show. So I will tell you guys all about that on Wednesdays After Dark Radio here on Sports Byline 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. Now, before we get into the full results of Night of Champions, I must address something here because it's so irritating. Do you guys remember when Nick Khan made some comment about how we don't bench people? And then everybody got all up in arms, and they're like, well, what about Hikuleo and blah, 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 and this and that. Listen, do we have to play this game where, I mean, do we have to? Can't we just live our lives and just, like, shut up about everything? Why does everything have to be a fight over everything? It's fine for me because it's my job. The rest of you, go outside. I am not a sports guy, Tom, okay? But I'm also not an idiot. I know a lot of you also are not idiots, but the thing that is irritating, and sometimes it's like, I don't know, I won't even get into that, but like sometimes I get mad when I do this, and also elsewhere, when people who aren't idiots act like idiots, okay? I'll just say it. Tom, you got kids, right? You know sometimes your kids are not idiots, but they decide they want to act like idiots. That's irritating, okay? Like, if my kids were actual idiots, I'm not going to get mad at them for doing something stupid because they're idiots, all right? But I know you're not an idiot, so, like, don't act like an idiot, right? So, you guys know what it means to be benched, okay? Stop pretending like you don't. Stop pretending like you don't know what it means so you can play this back and forth game of, oh, well, so and blah, blah. Listen. Hikuleo wasn't benched. He was signed, and then it was a matter of, well, when is he going to debut? Benched means you're on the main roster, they're doing something with you, and for whatever reason they decide, we're not doing anything with you anymore, you're benched, okay? There's a big difference between these two things. You're on a football team, and you get popped for PLE or whatever they call it. They're not PLE.
PEDs.
Whatever, PEDs. You're on the juice. Okay, you got benched. All right? You're on the team, and you're drunk driving, and you hit somebody, you're benched. Okay?
Wow.
Or you're out there, and, you suck. You're not playing well. You get benched. This is being benched, okay? Being benched is not, we're going to hire you. But, like, why would we hire you and just throw you out? Like, how many times has somebody been in NXT and everybody's like, don't call them up unless you have a plan for them, right? Don't call them up unless you have a plan for them. Well, that's what they did with Hikuleo. They signed him, and they didn't bring him up until they had a spot for him. And now his spot is he's with Solo Sikoa's group. He was never benched, okay? Being benched is a guy like Ridge Holland, okay? And now everyone's going to say that I said WWE is benching. I don't even know where Ridge Holland is, okay? What I do know is that he was all over the main roster, and then he vanished. And then he shows up in NXT, and he had a run for a while, and now he's vanished, okay? That's benched, all right? Being signed and just being paid every single week for a year before they find a spot for you on the main roster isn't being benched. I would bet Hikuleo's not upset about that year that he got paid a lot of money to get in shape and wait for his debut with main roster money on the main roster. That's not being benched, okay? Now, if you want to talk about benched, yes, it's mostly AEW people. Where is Jungle Boy? He's not hurt. We haven't seen him now in 7 months, and the last time we saw him was in New Japan. Where's he at? Where's Britt Baker? Where's Wardlow? Keith Lee. Keith Lee just in an interview saying, "I'm totally fine." Where's he?
Wardlow's doing American Gladiators.
Okay, fine. That's all fine and good. But, like, if you're on the main roster and you just vanish off the main roster and they just don't call you and they don't use you and they don't that's being benched, everybody. Now, if you want to pretend that you don't know what it means to be benched, if you want to pretend that you know less about sports than a guy who watches no sports, then that's fine. You can do that, and you can, like, act stupid for reasons unknown, or we can, like, see this for what it really is. Now, what did you think of this show?
I thought it was a fine way to spend my midday, my late morning. I'm always a fan of anytime there's a show on when I wake up, get right down to the action. I don't have to wait around all day for people to throw punches and throw each other around. So usually happy when these take place. I thought the opening match was clearly the best action of the show. And the main event was interesting for what it was. It seems as if the double turn kind of went off without them actually doing a double turn, because the crowd was clearly behind John Cena, as was I, for a large portion of that match. And there was a lot of interference in that main event, people being pulled different ways. And now we'll see if there's, is there a chance that John Cena and Seth Rollins get into a feud? Where does Logan Paul fit in with that, if anywhere, at this point? So a lot of questions coming out of the main event of Night of Champions, and I think that's what you want. I think you want it to be able to go a lot of different ways to add to the intrigue.
Well, we had Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, King of the Ring finals. Cody Rhodes got the win here, and both guys, huge baby faces with the crowd. This had the most heat of anything. Actually, I shouldn't say that. The main event probably had the most actual heat. But the fans were going bonkers for this match. Cody ended up winning after Randy tried to cheat, tried to undo a corner pad, but Cody ran him into the exposed buckle at the crossroads, won the match and the crown. And it was the best match on the show. Could have been way better, but basically they were in front of a crowd that they would have went nuts if they would have done a 30-minute headlock. And so they just did a pretty basic match here. And that was what happened.
Paled in comparison to the best fight on the other TKO show of the weekend at UFC 317 with Joshua Van and Brandon Royval. So if you're checking on your cards, that was the fight of the weekend, not Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. But that was certainly the best match, I thought, on this show. And, you had Randy Orton after, when Cody's celebrating, he's on the ramp making a mean face. And it looks like they're setting up a Randy Orton heel turn on Cody Rhodes, which, you know what? They planted this seed well over a year ago now at this point. So it's going to be a big match when it happens.
Oh, we got a question here, and I can actually give everybody what I think is actually going to be a scoop, I guess. This person says, have you heard anything about Tyler Bate, Kaiser, or Pete Dunne? Well, I believe Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne both injured. And were you aware, Tom, that Ludwig Kaiser was on Raw last Monday?
Was he El Grande Americano?
So you didn't notice either. Okay, good.
No.
Yeah. He was on Raw last Monday. Kaiser made his return. And I reviewed the show with Dave. I reviewed the show here. I didn't mention it. Dave didn't mention it. And one of my buddies was texting me. He was so mad we just kept ignoring it. And finally I was like, what are you talking about? And apparently Kaiser he re-debuted on Raw last week, and like nobody noticed. I don't know even where it was, but he was there. So Kaiser is back. I just don't know where. It's like a mystery. But he was there. We had Rhea and Raquel in a street fight, which, of course, Rhea won. This was actually the second best match on the show. A lot of heat, all the gimmicks, tables, ladders, chairs. I guess no ladders. But Rhea got the win with a riptide off a table that was sitting on the top rope. And that was kind of dangerous. But she won. Sammy beat Karrion Kross in a kind of a weird match. It was basically like a Raw match. Sammy ran wild, Kross cut him off, Sammy made a comeback. He got beat up, and then he won. And then Michael Cole told me it was a miracle that Sammy beat Karrion Kross.
Kind of in the same way that the Insane Clown Posse has that song Miracles. Maybe.
We had Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, which Solo Sikoa won after interference from Hikaleo, who is now Tala Tonga, by the way.
What a name.
Yeah, I think that's
Why
actually...
isn't he Tallest Tonga?
Well, I think this was brought up many times, but I think his actual name is Tala Tonga. Or Tala. Hold on.
His name is... I don't think his name is Tonga, but it could be wrong.
His actual first name is Tala. Tala Kolo Ama Tangi is his name. So he is actually Tala Tangi, kind of. So, yeah, it's not like he's tall, even though he is. But anyway, he interfered, and when all was said and done, Solo Sikoa is the new... I wish we'd have talked about this at the beginning of the show. Solo Sikoa is the new U.S. champion, having beaten Jacob Fatu.
I don't mind it at all. Solo needs something. You've been saying forever, Solo needs a win. He's got to get something,
does.
something.
I
Well,
guess.
now he's got the belt, and they can keep this going. Where are you going to put Jacob Fatu? Where are you going to slot him in if he's not in a feud with the rest
Well,
of
he's
the
clearly
going to
be
bloodline
feuding
right
with him.
now?
You know
well,
what I mean?
were you going to do? You got to put him in the title picture? Then he's got to eat some losses? I think it's fine right now.
Jade Cargill beat Asuka in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Whoever was the agent for this match, like, I don't want him to be fired, but I would like to interview him and be like, dude, what were you thinking? It's like the whole match was Asuka dominating Jade Cargill for 8 minutes. Jade got like 3 spots in this match, and then she just like hit a boot and a jaded and won. And it's like she didn't look like a star. Asuka like worked rings around her in real life and in storyline, and it was bizarre. Like they were booing Jade by the end of this. I was
Jade didn't even hit a boot. She countered the Empress Impact, the jumping hip attack, and just hit the Jaded and won.
No, she had one boot. There was one boot for sure. I remember it and I wrote it down. It happened. But still, the point is that was her 3rd move out of 3. And then the main event, Cena beat Punk. 8 million people ran in. Seth cost Punk the match. And that's a show in and of itself, brother. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Chat GPT, Smackdown review starring Filthy Tom and Bryan Alvarez.
Welcome back, you miserable wretches, to another disaster of an episode of Figure 4 Daily, the only show on the internet that's guaranteed to make your brain rot faster than watching one of these Smackdown episodes. I'm your host, Filthy Tom Lawler, joined by the man who somehow manages to be more useless than a rubber knife in a prison fight, Bryan Alvarez. What's up, Bryan?
Let's not pretend you're the shining star of this operation. You're like a broken pencil. Pointless. And I don't even know I'm still here with you. Anyway, let's get to this train wreck of a Smackdown. Spoiler alert, if you were expecting a wrestling show, you've come to the wrong place. It was like watching someone fall asleep in real time.
You should know all about falling asleep, Bryan, since you've been half dead for years now. If enthusiasm was an Olympic sport, you would get a participation medal for showing up, but still lose.
I could tell the crowd was hyped for Drew, and Nakamura's music is always a banger, but it was just nothing. It's like watching a 5-minute commercial for a product you don't even want to buy.
And I bet the only thing that was more uninspiring than this match was your entire existence. Let's move on before I fall asleep right here on this microphone.
Tom, you think because you're a former fighter, that makes you a wrestling expert? You'd probably lose in a match with a traffic cone. Look, Jade's a star, but Liv Morgan, she's the human version of a please wait screen.
Liv Morgan is about as useful as a sandbag at a swimming pool party, who's like trying to make a turkey sandwich with no bread.
It's like the crowd went from yay to who's got the remote. Can we change the channel?
Liv Morgan's biggest move is making the audience wish for better things. She's like the human version of a wet sock. Nobody wants it.
I get it, Tom. You don't like fun. You don't like energy. You don't like anything that's not just sitting on your couch in your pajamas complaining.
More of the same.
Oh, we're back to more of the same, huh? Just like your wrestling career. More of the same, but somehow still a disaster.
Well, that's it, folks. SmackDown 2025 was more like SmackDown 2005. Same old stuff, same old disappointments. Join us next time when we tear apart something else for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, next time, Tom, maybe you'll actually have some real wrestling to talk about instead of whatever disaster this was. Until then, just remember, don't listen to Tom and don't watch SmackDown unless you hate yourself.
Whatever. It's your funeral.
What? I've never been so embarrassed doing this show as I was for the last 5 minutes. God. You know that show ended with a shot of CM Punk flat on his back, spread eagle on that Riyadh logo. That's all people talked about all weekend. Yeah?
It's where he should have been after that horrific promo.
Oh, God. The
Friday
promo on
evening.
SmackDown? Brutal, dude. Absolutely brutal. What a weekend that guy had.
There's never been a worse ending to this show than there was to SmackDown this past Friday. But it was at least comical as CM Punk went out there dressed like John Cena from 20 years ago. Remember when John Moxley said you look like a little kid on Halloween? That's what it looked like at the end of SmackDown there as CM Punk cut his Word Life promo.
I can only imagine that flight home with CM Punk sitting there
I
reflecting
almost
on
feel
his
bad
weekend.
for him.
What a flight that must have been. That's a long 18 hours to reflect on that particular weekend.
He's got Ryback out there right now on Twitter defending him.
Oh, man. The day that happens, I'm done.
It's today.
No, I'm talking
It's
the day
right
that
now.
Ryback's defending me. All right. Hey, we got to wrap it up, but I'm going to be back tonight with Dave, Wrestling Observer Radio. And then tomorrow it will be the Bryan and Vinny Show, the return of the Bryan and Vinny Show. We didn't go this week because, quite frankly, well, Vinny was out of town for his for the weekend, and also we'd already watched Collision.
Furry convention.
Already, SmackDown was like, it was a
Lame duck
show. And then I review the other show with Dave, and here with you, Tom, kind of. We could talk more about it tomorrow. We'll see what happens on Raw tonight, everybody, so enjoy it. And that's it. We'll talk to you next time at Wrestling Observer Live.